Welcome to another special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mind Liberation Series message, produced by Baba Jalani Bumani Dembe and narrated by Queen Magical Melanin. Like, subscribe, and share this message with all the people you care about. I'm Queen Magical Melanin. Today, we discuss the profound perspective shared by Baba Jalani Bumani Dembe of Majestic Mind Matters University in the Mandatory Mental Liberation Series. The focus is on how racism controls our melanin-rich culture. Racism, a systemic ideology that perpetuates the belief in the superiority of the oppressors over our melanin-rich people, which continues to plague our melanin-rich societies around the world. Melanin-rich people, or people with darker skin tones, are often the most impacted by racism. This message will explore how racism controls melanin-rich people in various aspects of our lives in economics, education, entertainment, war, labor, sex, religion, politics, and law. In today's society, economics plays a significant role in perpetuating racism by creating socio-economic disparities between melanin-rich people and our counterparts. Melanin-rich communities, usually made up of individuals with darker skin tones, face higher rates of poverty, unemployment, and lower wages compared to their non-melanated counterparts. This disparity is not simply a result of individual choices, but rather a reflection of historical discrimination and unequal access to resources that have been ingrained in economic systems for decades. One of the main ways in which economics perpetuates racism is through systemic barriers in industries such as housing, employment, and banking. For example, redlining was a discriminatory practice in housing where lenders would refuse to provide loans or insurance to people in certain neighborhoods based on their racial or ethnic background. This led to the decline of property values in melanin-rich communities and limited our ability to build generational wealth through homeownership. Similarly, in the job market, melanin-rich individuals face discrimination and bias, which result in lower wages and limited career opportunities. Studies have shown that job applicants with white-sounding names are more likely to receive callbacks for interviews compared to those with melanin-rich-sounding names, even when the resumes are identical. This perpetuates a cycle of economic disenfranchisement for melanin-rich individuals and contributes to the widening wealth gap between races. In the banking industry, melanin-rich individuals are more likely to be denied access to loans and financial services and/or charged higher interest rates even when they have the same creditworthiness as our non-melanin counterparts. This limits our ability to invest in education, start businesses, or purchase homes, further perpetuating economic disparities and hindering our ability to achieve economic prosperity. In conclusion, economics plays a crucial role in perpetuating racism by creating and perpetuating socio-economic disparities between melanin-rich individuals and their counterparts. Historical discrimination and unequal access to resources have led to systemic barriers in industries such as housing, employment, and banking, making it difficult for melanin individuals to achieve economic prosperity. It is essential for non-melanated policymakers, businesses, and individuals to actively work towards dismantling these systemic barriers and creating a more equitable economic system for us as well. Education is often hailed as the great equalizer, the pathway to success for marginalized communities. However, studies have shown that racism continues to pervade educational systems, particularly impacting melanin-rich students. This systemic discrimination results in harsher discipline, lower expectations, and reduced access to quality education for melanin people, perpetuating a cycle of underachievement that limits our opportunities for success in higher education and the workforce. One of the most glaring manifestations of racism in education is the disproportionate discipline faced by melanin-rich students. Research has shown that Black students are 3 times more likely to be suspended or expelled than their white peers for similar infractions. This harsh discipline not only disrupts the learning environment for our melanin students, but also pushes us towards a pipeline to prison rather than a pathway to success. Additionally, melanin-rich people often face lower expectations from white educators, leading to reduced opportunities for academic advancement. Teachers may unconsciously hold biases that impact their perceptions of our melanin-rich students, leading to lower academic placements and fewer opportunities for enrichment programs. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where our melanin-rich students are not given the same opportunities to excel as our white counterparts. Furthermore, access to quality education is not equal for our melanin-rich students. Schools in predominantly white neighborhoods tend to receive more funding and resources, resulting in better educational outcomes for their students. Conversely, schools in neighborhoods with higher populations of melanin-rich people often lack the necessary resources and support systems, leading to lower academic achievement and limited opportunities for success. This systemic racism in education perpetuates a cycle of underachievement for our melanin-rich people, limiting our potential for success in higher education and the workforce. Without access to quality education and equitable opportunities, melanin-rich students are at a significant disadvantage in a society that values academic achievement and professional success. In order to address and dismantle this systemic racism in education, it is crucial for all policymakers, educators, and community members to actively work towards creating more equitable environments for melanin-rich students as well. This includes implementing anti-bias training for all educators, investing in schools in marginalized communities, and creating policies that level the playing field for melanin-rich students as well, regardless of our background. Ultimately, education should be a vehicle for empowerment and advancement for melanin-rich individuals as well. By recognizing and addressing the ways in which racism controls educational opportunities for melanin-rich students, we can work towards creating a more just and equitable society where our melanin-rich individuals have the opportunity to thrive and succeed as well. Entertainment and media play a significant role in shaping the collective consciousness of society. However, all too often, mainstream media perpetuates harmful stereotypes and representations of melanin-rich people, reinforcing racist beliefs and perpetuating systems of oppression. These negative portrayals not only contribute to the dehumanization of melanin-rich individuals, but also limit our opportunities for positive representation and success in the industry. One of the most pervasive stereotypes perpetuated by mainstream media is that of the criminal, or dangerous, melanin-rich person. This harmful stereotype has been ingrained in the minds of audiences through various forms of media, from news reports to television shows and films. By consistently depicting melanin-rich people as violent or criminal, media outlets reinforce racist beliefs about our inherent inferiority and contribute to the devaluation of our lives. Moreover, media representations of melanin-rich individuals often lack nuance and complexity, reducing us to one-dimensional caricatures. This limited portrayal not only diminishes the diversity and richness of melanin-rich individuals' experiences, but also hinders opportunities for melanin-rich actors and creators to showcase their talent and contribute meaningfully to the entertainment industry. Furthermore, the lack of proper representation and authenticity in mainstream media perpetuates harmful stereotypes that lead to real-world adverse consequences. Studies have shown that exposure to negative stereotypes can lead to internalized racism, lowered self-esteem, and diminished opportunities for success. By perpetuating these stereotypes, media outlets contribute to the marginalization of melanin-rich individuals in society and limit our ability to fully participate in the cultural and economic landscape. It is imperative that we challenge these harmful stereotypes and work towards creating more inclusive and representative media environments. This includes promoting melanin-rich voices and perspectives in storytelling, prioritizing authentic and nuanced portrayals of melanin-rich individuals, and holding media outlets accountable for perpetuating harmful stereotypes. In conclusion, entertainment and media play a powerful role in shaping perceptions and beliefs about melanin-rich people. By perpetuating harmful stereotypes and representations, mainstream media not only reinforces racist beliefs, but also limits opportunities for positive representation and success in the industry. It is essential that we strive towards more inclusive and authentic media landscapes that celebrate the richness of melanin-rich culture experiences. War and conflict are often fueled by racial tensions and discrimination. Melanin-rich people are disproportionately affected by war and conflict, as we are more likely to be targeted and marginalized in times of conflict. This not only results in physical harm and displacement, but also perpetuates cycles of trauma and oppression for our melanin-rich communities. Labor exploitation is a pervasive issue that disproportionately affects melanin-rich communities around the world. The exploitation of these communities in the workforce is deeply intertwined with the systemic racism that has plagued melanin-rich society for centuries. Through lower pay, unsafe working conditions, and limited advancement opportunities, racism continues to control and oppress melanin-rich people in the labor market. One of the most prevalent forms of labor exploitation faced by melanin-rich communities is unequal pay. Studies have shown that individuals from these communities are often paid less than our non-melanated counterparts for the same work. This wage gap not only perpetuates economic inequality, but also reinforces the idea that melanin-rich individuals are worth less than our white counterparts. This discrimination is a result of deep-rooted racist beliefs that have been ingrained in our melanin-rich society for generations. In addition to unequal pay, melanin-rich individuals also frequently face unsafe working conditions. They are more likely to work in hazardous environments with little to no safety regulations in place. This puts our health and well-being at risk on a daily basis. This exploitation of melanin-rich workers reflects a lack of regard for our lives and highlights the disregard for our humanity in the eyes of the employer. Furthermore, limited advancement opportunities further marginalize melanin-rich individuals in the labor market. Despite our qualifications and hard work, promotions and leadership positions are often reserved for white individuals. This systemic discrimination stifles the professional growth and development of melanin-rich workers, perpetuating a cycle of economic inequality and limiting our potential for success. The exploitation of our melanin-rich communities in the workforce is a direct result of systemic racism that continues to pervade our melanin-rich society. By devaluing the labor of melanin-rich individuals through unequal pay, unsafe working conditions, and limited advancement opportunities, racism maintains its grip on the labor market. This perpetuates economic inequality and reinforces the cycle of oppression that has plagued melanin-rich communities for generations. In conclusion, labor exploitation is another way in which racism controls melanin-rich people in the workforce. By addressing and dismantling the systemic racism that perpetuates these injustices, we can work towards creating a more equitable and just labor market for us as well. It is imperative that we continue to fight against labor exploitation and discrimination in order to create a truly inclusive and fair society for us as well. Sexual exploitation and objectification are prevalent issues within society, particularly for melanin-rich people. This occurs as a result of intersecting systemic racism and sexism, which lead to melanin-rich individuals being hypersexualized and treated as objects rather than human beings. In the case of melanin-rich people, particularly women, this can lead to increased vulnerability to abuse and exploitation, perpetuating harmful stereotypes and reinforcing racist beliefs about our worth and value in society. Historically, melanin-rich people, particularly women, have been fetishized and exoticized due to our race and ethnicity. This has led to the objectification of our bodies and identities, reducing us to mere objects of desire for the pleasure of others. This dehumanization not only erases the individual autonomy and agency of our melanin-rich people, but also contributes to our marginalization and vulnerability to exploitation. Additionally, the intersection of racism and sexism further exacerbates the sexual exploitation and objectification of melanin-rich individuals. Stereotypes and prejudices based on race and gender contribute to the devaluation of melanin-rich people in society, making us more susceptible to mistreatment and abuse. The pervasive belief that melanin-rich people are inherently inferior or less valuable than our white counterparts reinforces power dynamics that perpetuate our subjugation and exploitation. Furthermore, the hypersexualization of melanin-rich individuals in media and popular culture reinforces harmful stereotypes and perpetuates racist beliefs about our worth and value in society. The portrayal of melanin-rich people, particularly women, as exotic and sexually available objects serves to dehumanize us and reinforce the notion that our bodies exist solely for the pleasure and gratification of others. This not only perpetuates harmful stereotypes, but also contributes to the normalization of racism and sexism within our melanin-rich society. In conclusion, sexual exploitation and objectification play a significant role in controlling melanin-rich people through racism. The hypersexualization and dehumanization of melanin-rich people, particularly women, perpetuate harmful stereotypes and reinforce racist beliefs about our worth and value in society. In order to combat this pervasive issue, it is crucial to challenge these stereotypes and confront the systemic racism and sexism that contribute to the exploitation and mistreatment of melanin-rich individuals. Only through acknowledging and addressing these intersecting forms of oppression can we work towards creating a more just and equitable society for us as well. Religion has long been used as tools to control marginalized groups, particularly melanin-rich people, through racism. Certain beliefs and practices within various religious traditions perpetuate racist ideologies and reinforce systems of oppression and discrimination against melanin-rich people. This has profound effects on spiritual growth, community engagement, and overall well-being of melanin-rich individuals within our communities. One way in which religion can be used to control melanin-rich people through racism is through the promotion of white supremacy and superiority. Throughout history, many religious institutions have supported and justified the idea that white people are inherently superior to melanin-rich people. This belief has been used to justify enslavement, colonization, and other forms of exploitation and violence against melanin-rich people. By promoting and reinforcing these racist beliefs, religious leaders and institutions exert control over melanin-rich people and marginalize us within our communities. Additionally, certain religious practices and traditions perpetuate racist attitudes and behaviors towards melanin-rich people. For example, the marginalization of melanin-rich spiritual practices within mainstream religions has led to the erasure of melanin-rich culture and identities. This erasure contributes to the dehumanization of melanin-rich and reinforces stereotypes and prejudices that perpetuate systems of oppression and discrimination. Furthermore, the exclusion of melanin-rich people from leadership positions and decision-making processes within religious institutions limits our ability to fully engage in our spiritual communities and contribute to the overall growth and development of our communities. When melanin-rich people are not represented or given a voice within our religious communities, we are often sidelined and marginalized, which has a detrimental impact on our spiritual well-being and sense of belonging. In order to combat the ways in which religion is used to control melanin-rich people through racism, it is important for melanin-rich individuals within our communities to challenge and confront racist ideologies and practices. By actively working to dismantle systems of oppression and discrimination within religious institutions, melanin-rich people can create more inclusive and equitable spaces for ourselves and future generations. It is essential for melanin-rich individuals to critically examine the ways in which religion is being used as tools of control and to work towards creating melanin-rich communities that are truly for us. The issue of systemic racism in politics and law is a deeply ingrained problem that continues to disproportionately affect melanin-rich people, particularly those with higher levels of melanin. Racism controls melanin-rich people through systemic discrimination and institutional bias, perpetuating cycles of inequality and reinforcing systemic racism in our melanin-rich society. One of the ways in which racism controls melanin-rich people is through policies and laws that are disproportionately targeted towards melanin-rich people. For example, the war on drugs in the United States has led to a high rate of incarceration in melanin-rich communities, despite similar rates of drug use among different racial groups. This has resulted in a disproportionate number of melanin-rich individuals being caught in the criminal justice system, leading to a cycle of poverty, lack of access to resources, and limited opportunities for social mobility. Additionally, police brutality against melanin-rich people is a pervasive issue that further demonstrates how racism controls melanin-rich individuals through systemic discrimination. Our melanin-rich communities are more likely to be subjected to police violence, which often goes unpunished due to a lack of accountability within white-owned law enforcement agencies. This results in a sense of fear and distrust towards white law enforcement agents in melanin-rich communities, perpetuating a cycle of marginalization and oppression. Furthermore, the lack of access to justice and resources for melanin-rich people further exacerbates the systemic racism that controls melanin-rich individuals. Legal systems are usually biased against melanin-rich people, leading to unequal treatment in the courts and limited access to fair legal representation. This creates barriers to justice and perpetuates cycles of inequality within our melanin-rich communities. In conclusion, systemic racism in politics and law controls melanin-rich individuals through policies and laws that disproportionately target melanin-rich people, leading to increased rates of incarceration, police brutality, and lack of access to justice and useful and relevant resources. This perpetuates cycles of inequality and reinforces systemic racism in our melanin-rich culture. It is imperative that we address these issues through policy reform, increased accountability within law enforcement agencies, and a commitment to dismantling systems of oppression that perpetuate racism against melanin-rich individuals. Only through collective action and a commitment to justice can we begin to dismantle systemic racism and create a more equitable society for us as well. Racism controls melanin-rich people in various aspects of our lives through economics, education, entertainment, war, labor, sex, religion, politics, and law. It is imperative that we address and dismantle these systems of oppression to create a more equitable and just world for us as well. By acknowledging and confronting racism in all its forms, we can work towards a society where our melanin-rich people are treated with dignity, respect, and equality. I'm Queen Magical Melanin. We trust that you have expanded your understanding through the insights shared by Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe of Majestic Mind Matters University in the Mandatory Mental Liberation series. Specifically in this discussion titled, How Racism Controls Our Melanin-Rich Culture. Remember, it is essential to honor the ancestors, strive for self-awareness, treat yourself kindly, and live a fulfilling life.